Hello, everybody. It's Brian, and we have Operator with us today.
Hey,
Um, yeah, Operator is good friend of ours. He's been on the show more than a few times. Very active participant in our Discord, and he does a lot with LLMs and development stuff. Um, as a little bit of background, the reason I wanted him on initially was because he said, "Oh yeah, I'm developing code and I'm not touching a keyboard," and I'm
there
like,
you go.
"How are you doing
Yeah,
that?" And I didn't know if it was voice prompts or whatever. So, we're going to chat about that. We're just going to kind of shoot the shit for the next 90 minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in our YouTube chat or our Twitch chat, and we can talk about all sorts of stuff. So, Operator, how you doing?
doing good, doing good. Still doing like boutique firm offensive security stuff. So,
Okay.
we're doing pretty a lot of the heavy lifting of the pen testing. Initial like pen testing stuff is kind of almost automated, and then reporting is um largely uh LLM based automated stuff. So
Okay.
it's saving a fair amount of time, but it's also with the whole curve of automate it, and then you got to work on the script, and then it stops
Yeah.
working, and then so there's a fair amount of that. I don't do a ton of the development work. I'll just fix whatever my coworker breaks, um, and he insists that I'm not running Windows or I'm not running Linux, so he'll give me a hard time if I'm running
Right.
like everything in WSL, and it's like, oh, it's got to be your environment. It's like this, dude. There's no difference between WSL and like Linux essentially at this point, like other
Yeah.
than hardware, right? Doing hardware
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Around what Windows 7, no, Windows 10 or something, when they added WSL as a feature, it was still a little janky, but I would say WSL now is probably as good as you know,
yeah,
if they ripped out the Windows kernel and put a POSIX kernel in or a Linux kernel in,
yeah,
yeah, it'd be solid. So, um, yeah, the
yeah.
only, the only reason I don't,
I didn't even know like the was it Valve or Steam is did the whole it's like Phantom thing where you can run like I guess you can start to run Windows. We're starting to get where we can run Windows games on Linux somehow through like their some kind of
oh,
Phantom driver or some kind of whatever. So uh, I don't remember what podcast I was listening to, but it's some kind of technology they have now where you can like run a lot of Windows games in Linux. It's not the wine garbage that
right.
people were trying to do. But there's like some heavy lifting now that's gone into. They spent a bunch of money trying to get that over, so it's interesting now. You can hopefully maybe within the next 5 years or so play a
Man,
bunch of stuff on Linux because I wouldn't mind switching to Linux if all my games worked. That no problem with that.
I've tried several times, and my streams I have shown it several
Oh
times about trying to get over to Linux. The problem I still
yeah,
have is it's 2026 and things like hardware, unless you've got some kind of shitty shim. Now, to be fair, I was trying to do Linux, migration went before the age of AI, so I may be able to get some kind of shim that would allow my Elgato here to work with Linux without some kind of janky ass setup. But
mm-hmm,
um,
yeah,
the problem I always had was audio visual sync issues, or just like, oh, my
yeah,
Stream Deck
media,
doesn't work with it or something,
yeah,
or codecs issues. Like, yeah, my DaVinci Resolve only works with a certain codecs installed or not installed. So,
yeah. I
um,
can assume media is kind of a nightmare with Linux,
mhm.
especially trying
Oh
to
yeah.
stream stuff. But
Yeah, and if I didn't have a $300 webcam here, and I was using my C930 from Logitech, it probably would be okay, and I could get away with some of that
yeah,
stuff. But that's why I have my MacBook. So it seems to work. I can
stable.
stream. I can, I've got my entire LLM rag running in a Docker container right now, and everything seems to be great. It's those little peccadillos about Docker, though, that are starting to kick me in the ass. That not
Yeah,
having GPU access within OS X Docker, you don't have direct access to bare metal kind of stuff like you do with Linux or with Windows. But it's coming along.
okay.
It's coming along.
They don't have like a whatever the NVIDIA tools for
I
because
don't
I
have
know
an NVIDIA
WSL has
chipset.
like an oh okay. That
I have
might
a
that
I have
might
a metal I have metal GPUs for my MacBook, but yeah,
okay.
there's no direct access to
Yeah,
bare metal GPU in Docker on OS X.
yeah, yeah.
Things like OpenStack and others do, but yeah, not Docker.
I was running every. I started out running stuff inside of like Docker and WSL, and it was like the round trip on taking how long it takes to do all that. Um, it was just too slow. So I actually run everything on the local network natively
Okay.
in Windows. So
Right. Right.
no WSL, no whatever thing. It's just Python and
Nice.
portable everything. It all
Nice.
I back up the folder, and then when I jank it up, I just restore the folder and hope for the best. But
Okay.
that's kind of how I have it set up because I got tired of the like WSL being slow and doing the hardware through
Right.
WSL
Right.
and Docker, and it's like you got to wait for Docker and you got to wait for WSL and like that whole thing. When when it takes 10 seconds to run a query for internet and your janky local setup,
Mm-hmm.
you can't have it take an extra 10 seconds because that's not
Yeah.
just not feasible. So but yeah, locally once the model loads, I actually use it. I keep the desktop on and I'll try and use my local stuff and kind of tune it
Nice.
and make it better and faster and all that stuff. So
Yeah. So, I don't come from a programming background. I've made that painfully obvious for a lot of
no,
folks.
neither
AI has
me
been really
neither.
helpful. Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay. So we're in the
no,
same boat. When did you
no.
start deciding to embrace, your particular AI of choice? Do you prefer an Anthropic or a Gemini or a Copilot, or are you running everything locally and training it?
I'm doing the only thing I have is limited tokens on Kaji right now, which gives you a bunch of
Kaji.
different. Yeah, they give you a bunch of different models. It's the same price as yes. If you're paying for like web search, it's basically web search and an
Uh huh.
assistant, and the assistant gives you access to like all the models, like all of
Right.
them. And for the same price as like ChatGPT Premium or whatever they call it. It's like
Right.
320 a year. You get
Mm-hmm.
access to all the models, and you can do basically everything you would want to do with like a chat interface or an assistant. So, and their search is worth it just to buy the search because it's search without garbage.
Right.
It's run by like 60 people. It's basically I don't Google anymore. I just Kaji everything, and they have a built-in assistant, and then they have a little quick answers. So it's like the Google AI answers. So I use that for like chat or if I want a good model to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I use like the cheap Gemini Flash to do chat stuff. If I
Right.
want something better and I don't want to burn tokens on Kaji. And
Yeah.
then locally, I just do everything locally and I give it little little bits at a time. So
Nice.
once you learn how to chunk things up and like write your own calls or because I was actually using MCP and then the AI was like, you don't need an MCP. You just need to write a extension for Pi
Right.
agent that'll save a ton of time and a ton of tokens and whatever. So I've
Yeah.
been like super optimizing my tokens and trying not to break the backend at the same time. So if you kind of start messing with the prompts and start messing with the backend, things kind of fall apart. So
Yeah.
at one point in time, I had it to where like Pi agent was like falling over itself for some reason. I don't know what I fixed or screwed up with the prompts, but it wouldn't do hardly anything. It would kind of crap out. And then I restored back from another one, and I've been able to keep it pretty solid. It just only have like 64,000, which is a few websites
Right.
that converted to Markdown will still eat the context window. So I have to constantly like open and close after I do like heavy lifting, heavy
Uh,
website parsing. I have to like close the session or reopen it and close the session or because it's not worth it compressing it and all that crap. So
right.
so
Right.
once you learn like to work with 64,000 tokens, you could pretty much do your research first, dump it out to Markdown, and then figure out what you want to pull in from your Markdown, manually reading it, and
Mm-hmm.
then you go from there to start coding and stuff. So it's pretty slick.
Oh, nice.
It's nowhere near, like we use um, we use Kuro or Kuro, the Amazon's their Bedrock, and that thing's insane. I told it to do something, and it did it in like 2 minutes, and that would have taken me like 20 minutes to do, and I would have had to like hold its hand a little bit. But the thing about the local stuff is, it's unlimited tokens, so
Right.
who
Right.
cares? I can run it, and I can do whatever, and I can tweak, and I can tweak, and I can tweak, and I don't have to count. I don't have to worry about like, oh, well, I can't work today, like no more tokens left. So Some of that I don't really care so much about the privacy. It's just like I don't.
Sure.
The worst thing is for me is like to be in the middle of something and they'd be like, just send me $1. And I was like, I swear, if I am ever working on something and I get send me $1, I'll lose my mind. So I think
Right.
we have like 8 accounts with Hero, so we can kind of switch in between them. We have like a broker that, well, the
Okay.
coworker wrote a broker that like will basically use 8 different accounts at a time or something, and
Wow.
like he
Okay.
manages the sessions, and it's like it's insane. He's got a proxy for and where he injects stuff into the uh into the context window. So it's crazy.
Right.
But
Huh.
yeah, I've had a fair amount of luck. More
Yeah.
complex, weird environments is when it starts to get tricky because it keeps trying to do normal stuff like, oh, we're gonna use your Python and your no, my Python is way over here. You're not even in the right place. But other
Right.
than that, just keeping it little projects at a time, little pieces at a time. But
Yeah. Yeah. So
had
you've
a fair amount of success.
you've done a good number of things. I'm really interested in understanding how you're doing the the coding without using a keyboard.
Yeah, it's fun.
Um,
What I want to do is take like a week off
yeah.
and force myself to only write scripts for Talent Voice and not touch the keyboard or the mouse for like a week. And like
Oh,
command line stuff is
right.
pretty terrible. But
Really?
I feel like once I learn the alphabet and once I learn how I want to do my shortcuts, um, I'll start realizing that I could possibly be as fast, if not faster, than. So you start thinking about keyboard as an input and like mouse as an input. You can kind of do two things at once.
Right.
So there's all kinds of fun stuff around that. So it's like an untapped thing, because all these accessibility people that
Right.
have vision problems or they can't physically type on a keyboard or whatever. It's like a whole thing. Like they
Yep.
have
Yep.
tons of code and tons of custom apps and like they've written custom scripts and like it's a whole world of all kinds of craziness that I have no idea how to do any of it. But there's one video of a guy playing some platform game with just his voice and the eye tracker with like a 50 millisecond delay, and he's able to beat some game, which is absolutely insane. So if you can do that, I should be able to never touch a keyboard again. If like my hands are giving me a hard time, or
So
I kind of have the carpal thing going sometimes.
yeah. So you said he has an eye tracker. Is he tracking it on his monitor, or does he have like those AR glasses or something like that?
No,
Is
this
it what?
it's Toby. If I can find the one for the game. Um, I think this was actually my video, but yeah, it's a piece of hardware that you can get them used for like 160 or 150, something like that, or 250,
Mhm.
and it's an infrared eye tracker. So it's got
Oh,
two
all right.
little. I can actually. It's kind of. I made a mount for it, but you can see it's like
Yeah.
the Wii
Oh,
bar a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
So I think these are like for aligning it. So it's like a target, and if you're on the target, it'll look just like bright as hell in your face. And
Right.
then once you line the target up, you calibrate it, and
Hmm.
then you get it's not I can't use my 49-inch monitor, but I get a
Right.
little
Right.
window in front, and I think if I actually could stand back farther, I could get a lot more angle of the tingle. But
Hmm.
um, that's the only drawback because you can't be looking over here because I
Right.
got a
Right.
massively large monitor, but a reasonably size. I think it's set up to 25 or 27-inch or something. But
Okay.
other than that, just making hotkeys or hot commands for voice
Right.
to like move windows around in and out of like kind of
Hmm.
like three panel. I have like three panels.
Right.
I feel like I can easily work around that type of stuff. So,
Oh, that's
but
kind of
yeah,
cool.
it's Tobii Eye Tracker 5, and they have like an even fancier one that's like stupid expensive. And once you get that, you do Talent Voice, and then you're pretty much off to the races. It's all about just learning and writing your own scripts, and I'll call AutoHotkey to do stuff easier without having to write PHP.
Oh man,
And
auto hotkey. That takes me back. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of have like a weird, a few weird things that will like resize. It'll resize all the windows and put them all in front of me,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that I don't have to like drag and resize stuff. So, but I haven't had a ton of time to play with it. I need to what I said I was going to do is like just take a week of like forcing myself, like I did with a left-handed mouse. Um, it was a nightmare for like 2 weeks, and after like the second week, I could actually have a fair amount of accuracy with my left hand.
Nice.
But
So you you've actually put out something. Jamboree is something for mobile security testing and what have
yep,
you. And I've used that to some limited success. And one of the things that I've started noticing with my own side projects has been I know how to make it work, but then I go back and I kind of take a critical eye to it, and I'm like, yeah, this is hot garbage. I wouldn't want to put this out on a GitHub and then somebody have to figure out how to make it work. So
yeah,
how much do at what point do you go, I need to document what's going on, or is it a best practices you document as you go along, or you're refactoring, or you're asking your
yeah,
LLMs to show me how my stuff looks like garbage, or
yeah.
when do you decide, hey, I probably, if I'm going to make this for consumptive use of other people, I need to make it not look like hot garbage?
Yeah, I mean, it's all hot garbage. Honestly, I'm not a coder. I won't
I'm
pretend to
not
be. So
either.
like, so I mean, if it works, I mean, I just like minimize the button code for the
Right.
PowerShell, and it's like a third of the size now. And then
Right.
I actually had AI compress it a way back, like 3 or 4 months ago, and AI compressed it down to like half or like a third. Um,
Nice.
and so I just gave it this entire, it's like, I don't know how many thousand lines it is now. It's massive. It even complained. It said, why is this giant PowerShell script like 3,000 lines?
Right.
But it's down to like 2,300 now.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
I just added LM Studio, like a single click LM Studio,
Oh yeah.
and
Okay.
so you can get going pretty quickly with that. And VS Code button I added, so you can have VS Code just running locally without having to install it and all that crazy crap that
Right.
Microsoft takes over the whole thing. But yeah, let's see, PyPic, I don't even know what that is. But the two main ones are like the LM Studio is difficult, and VS Code was really easy. They have like
Mm,
basically you run their installer and you just point it, and
right.
it doesn't need a whole lot, and it'll start asking you to install stuff, but just ignore it and tell it not to mess around. But I
Yeah.
pretty much use VS Code for most stuff, just to easily look at like markdown files, and you can use the fancy what do they call it, Mermaid JS,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
super
Oh yeah.
fancy, super
I
fancy.
love mermaid.js. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not quite like even Kaji will have a hard time writing Mermaid
Right.
syntax. So I have like a skill that I sent something, and it still was trash. Like here's the skills file so you can write good Mermaid, and like 2 out of 8 were still broken syntax. So it's not that great.
I've actually found that mermaid.js will take you only so far, but then it's like you can load up an MCP to like draw.io or something like that, and just have it output your diagrams and your stuff directly to draw.io, and it's free and will automatically generate your diagrams for you, which I found is it's been quite useful for me. Um,
This is like a web-based, like a
yeah,
web-based.
yeah, it's almost
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
Photopea or something, but yeah, draw.io is really nice.
Oh, I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. And it's base. And let me share my screen. And first screen share. We'll see how badly it works.
Yeah, I had
Allow
to I
boink.
had to make my thing much smaller if I'm gonna
I will
share
just
screens.
there we go. Okay, share. There we go. Boink. And then we are. No, of course it doesn't work. Okay. So yeah. Well, while you're looking at my
I see
screen,
I see a
yeah, you see a screen. It's not the screen, is it? So,
it's draft. I see pictures. Edit, discard,
uh,
cancel,
Oh yeah, that's it. So
select
yeah,
draft to
this is
continue.
this
Yeah.
is this is the one that I'm using for what it does is it saves in storage, local storage. So let me unfuck this chicken here. Where is it? There it is. Zoom floating window properties. videos. Share floating video. No, well, that's one of them. Okay, and but yeah, so it will generate it for you, and then you can edit it as you see fit or what have you. And you can zoom in. So like this is old because I don't have SQLite anymore. I have a Postgres SQL version here, but this is the kind of the data flow that I had for about version 3 of my. Oh, actually, let me see.
Okay,
7.
now it's called
There we go.
apps.diagram.
Yeah.
Somebody bottom or something.
Why can I not show my entire screen?
But yeah, I let
Properties.
I let Markdown do all the documentation stuff and make it
Oh yeah.
read the read the docs. Have the AI
Yep.
read the docs and fix it. I was like, well, I could do that. So after a while, it's just like, okay, have the AI fix itself.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to break your project. He's
Transform.
like, yeah.
Center screen. No. Okay. So,
So
uh,
it basically allows you to it allows AI to create a drawing that you can easily edit without like going into mermaid syntax, which is looks like
oh
a
yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. And depending on, and one of the things you have to do is you have to tell it to kind of declutter itself. Otherwise, it will just kind of throw things all over the place. So some of my earlier iterations of it were, let's see, that's a really simple version. It's gotten way more complicated since then, but yeah, it's not bad. And yeah, it does store version control, but I always try to output it as a PDF or not a PDF, but a PNG file or something like that. But it's nice to go in and it's called diagrams.net, but it used to be called draw.io. And it has an MCP that you can just plug in any agent to be able to do so. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, so yeah, you can. This is my Darkly,
Oh my
which is my
goodness.
LLM rag that I've got. I've got a few Docker images running right now. A little bit going
So
forward here. My content
it's a
classifier is
bunch.
paused right now. So what's that?
I guess they're just small. They're just small Dockers. Some small Dockers.
Yeah, I've got so I my various my ver- for my LLM that I've talked about on screen here. I have Quadrant for search vectors. So I take PDFs and I'm using a combination of fast extract using PyMu PDF. I am in using, when that fails, I use something called dockling.ai, which will pull in a full. There you go. Converts documents using AI, running OCR and all that. Some of the documents I have are fairly complicated in this case. They're pretty much RPG based PDFs. So you've got, double the
Oh yeah.
column, you've got some really complicated, graphics in there. And yeah, it's a bit complicated. If it was white text on or black text on a white background, it'd be far easier. But yeah, so once that's done, everything gets embedded into my orchestrator. Kind of controls everything. That was version 3 of this. I had to have an orchestrator that handled all of the workers because as I iterated through this, I found out things like Dockling will not handle more than one book at a time. So it's like first in, first out, even in Docker or not in Docker. So I was trying to process several books at one time. And it would process one page from this book, and then it would process a page from this book, and then it would process a page from this book. And I
Nice.
would run
Do it
into.
like linearly or whatever. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I would run into race conditions or something where the worker would just stop, right, and no longer
Nice.
work. Yeah. So I needed the orchestrator to tell me what was going on, and then it was like doing a lot more discussion with the system, and it was like, oh no, Dockling doesn't handle parallelization well, and I was like,
Yeah,
so
I'm
yeah.
assuming a lot of the stuff you're pulling is like straight up raw images, essentially, right?
Well, let me give you an
Some of
example.
it's got text, half of it's got text, or
It depends on the
yeah,
the doc itself. So let
yeah,
me
yeah.
open a new
Most of the stuff
window.
I scrape is just basic. It's not like cool looking documentation with like black text and gray background or something. I would imagine you'd start
Yeah.
running into issues when you have
Eh,
OCR because the models do pretty good converting I haven't had any issues, but like I said, it's always like normal normal PDFs, not
Right. So
wizards with text on top of them.
yeah, to give you an example, so some of the some of these books are from archive.org. So some of them are fairly new, some of them are fairly old. So this is a display anyway. So to give you an idea, some of these are scanned in PDFs. So, somebody took a bunch of JPEG files and then put them into a PDF, or, went to their local scanner at work and just, took the book and did all this. There's other ones that are digital made. So anything that's made in like Adobe PDF or whatever, which have, and when you think about PDFs like HTML pages, but they have different layers on them, right? So if you're ever done Photoshop or you've done, graphic design or something like that, there's layers, right? So you have an image layer where all the images exist, and then you have a text layer, which is just the plain text, and then you have a presentation layer, which like an HTML page has all the markup that says, oh, I want this font and I want this, placed in a certain spot and what have you. So depending on that,
it's like parsing PDFs is like parsing HTML. It's just kind of a nightmare.
100%. And you run into issues where it's like, some of this stuff has weird, you've got like this here where you've got weirdness going on
weird
here.
Fonts,
weird fonts,
like weird fonts, weird backgrounds, shitty quality,
Right, and depending on the PDF that you were using, or the model that you were using, there are different type models, like vision models, which will like take like a picture of the picture and then be able to show you what's, be able to make determination or predictions based on those things. The idea was I wanted some sort of method by which you do searches. So this is darkly here. I'll make a light version here so everybody can see it, and make it a little bigger. So my Postgres, I have a cluster status, so it shows me my Postgres SQL server is up. My Olama, which is the inference model that I use BGM3 for that, BGMM3 for searches. So if I have a search here, I can ask it anything about the research document. So tell me about paladins, and I spelled paladins wrong, but it will use.
I can't spell.
Yeah, I can't spell for shit. The search will run faster. This is the only part I think that is actually on bare metal, because it does take advantage of the GPU for faster searching on this. I think it's wait. No, the Olama is running. Yeah, Olama is running locally, so yeah, it should take a little faster. The only problem is I have 10,000 files on here, so it is taking a little bit of time to run through all of that. So I have 11,279 books that I have ingested into this system, and I have a ton left. As you can see, some of these are they're all free, which is another thing. It's like I'm finding them legitimately online. Like this is the 5.1 SRD for D&D 2014. So it's just a bunch of HTML files, but I can start this and it'll run up here and you can see the activity. Because it's mostly text, HTML, RTF files, text files. It doesn't have to go through the full doclink thing, so we can actually run in parallelization.
That's a lot of chunks stored. Almost 1 million chunks. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How much data is it total in there? Like how many?
Let me see.
Like a few gigs, or
it's probably I have I think it's roughly 20 gigs right now, all text mostly. It's actually got quite a few images in there as well. The idea was that I wanted to be able to go in so you can
so you want the images, not just text. That's hard.
I have a few things waiting to be put into the system here, so there we go. So I have, here's a digital file for something that I've created or found, got that, tells me the status of it, number of pages, number of chunks that were created from that. It's a digital made PDF, so it was created like Adobe or something like that. It took 1 minute 5 seconds to extract. So extraction was 59 seconds and embedding it was only 6 seconds. So I've actually got logs, I've got metrics. It shows me the location of the directory. So I have it on my 2 terabyte SDXC card. It tells me, you know, all kinds of stuff, how long it took to wait in the queue, how many chunks per second for ingesting that. Also has metadata, which I have it paused right now because it's going to blow up my computer literally. But I'm doing tagging, right? Tagging on the PDF. So, you know, I have 10,000 files and I want to be like, show me all of the files that have something about paladins in them, or, you know, something about monsters or something like that. And
do you find you have to like reference the actual, because I tried to do like some RAG testing, and like the first or second time I did it, it worked. I imported like up all the manuals for like all of Infinity and 3 other car manufacturers, and it seemed to like work okay as far as accuracy goes. And then I tried it with a different configuration or something, and I could never really get it to work again. And I tried it on Bedrock, on the line, on the internet, and I could never really, like, I would ask a specific thing. Oh, what can you say about, you know, gross profit margins? And it would be like, oh, well, there's nothing about gross profit margins. I was like, okay, episode 173 talks for like 15 minutes about this one particular topic. And it never could really get it right. So you have to like, because, you know, when it comes to games or like, you know, what you're doing, the data has to be like accurate. You can't just be like, well, it's a 4 or 3, or, you know, do you have to like reference the original files when you're like doing your research, or is it?
I do tell it to cite I tell it to cite the resources where it's located. So it's like, it says, you know, it's Holy Warriors. So you can actually, you know, okay, I'm going to click there and it'll actually open up the PDF of the specific place inside of the document that is referenced. So it goes directly to where it finds it in the document.
That's Darkly.
Darkly. Yeah. I call it, so Through a Scanner Darkly is the name of the book. And yeah, so
cool. That's pretty slick.
I believe it. So it's it's a America virtually loses the war on drugs. A narcotics cop goes undercover. Yeah, it's about identity and deception in near future dystopia. Written by Philip K. Dick. So yeah, it's written by Philip K. Dick. It's from 1977, so it's not a new book. But yeah, it's taken a bit of time to get where it needs to be, and the search was something I definitely wanted to have. I wanted to, you know, have different areas where it's showing up. One of the things that I have noticed is it will take some time to, as you saw, it took a little bit of time to get this answer back, but I'm not worried about hallucinations, and I'll tell you why. Because I have query modes for these, which I will say I did borrow this from Mick Douglas. He was working on something called Concierge, which was a LLM RAG that was using everything locally, and he had certain profiles like he wanted for his system, like he wanted like it to be more scientific, or he wanted it to do more of this or whatever. So I have it, you know, if I wanted it to be precise, narrow, site only, that kind of stuff. If I want to research broad and comprehensive, I can do balanced, or I can just do creative. And the idea is I'm okay with it hallucinating a bit. So if I have 10,000 books, I can say, create me a generic adventure having to do with X and, you know, about these different topics, with the idea that maybe I don't want to play a published adventure, but I want something that takes bits from this adventure and from this adventure and from this book and from this source and from this splat book or this setting, and will just give me what I want. And I actually have query enhancements here where I can go all the way factual, or I can just make it just hallucinate, you know, you know.
So so when you run the search, like, does it have to pull in all whatever 100,000 chunks, or like what do you have to, like, what's the minimum amount of resources you need to like run a search, or does it just depend, or how does it work?
The way I'm understanding it, it just depends. But you know, the part of the indexing that it does is it takes you know, in the, where is it, in quadrant, the searchable vectors. So it's chunking up certain parts. So if I tell it I want smaller chunks, then it's going to probably take longer to search through. Whereas if I said I want a larger chunk, where it'd be like
Yeah.
a chunk may be an entire page versus a chunk may be a paragraph or a certain heading or a certain chapter or something like that.
Because you're running a Mac, you can it's like something weird about the Macs where you can put like some ridiculous amount of like sort of not VRAM, but like you can store a lot more on the Macs they come with, like a ridiculous amount you can load in.
I've maxed out the RAM
26?
on this. I've maxed out the amount of RAM I can add to this.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got all 16 cores available to it. Memory limit is 28 gigs because memory is limited because libkrun is in use. So there's definitely things that I'm going, if I ever wanted to expand upon this, I would have to update. I don't need 26 gigs. Obviously, you've seen where it was only using 15. Maximum swap, which I'm not using any swap right now, I don't think. And I actually had it set to use all of the hard drive, but it didn't need that. So I can limit it to 200 gigs without any kind of major issues. As you can see right now, it's at about 14, 15 gigs. So
yeah.
So
it's using just like the Apple, whatever the fancy Apple hardware and then just your regular RAM, right? The fancy Apple Magic RAM. Yeah. My friend has one of those crazy boxes with like 150 gigs of RAM and whatever. It's slower. It's not as fast as that VRAM, but like he's not doing anything with it. He's like, "Oh, I'll let you borrow it." I was like, "So I gotta go down there at some point and I've had it be my judge or something." It's like if it's sitting there, the thing's worth twice as much as he paid for it by now. But that is interesting. You can do it all. You can do that much with what you said, like 26, or you said 17. Yeah, mine uses 17, and then I start doing stuff, and of course it eats up the LV cache, eats up everything, and then a few files in, I'm like, I have to compress. So
So the other issue I've got with is I'm running local models with Olama. So I'm using Qwen 2.5. I was actually using 14 billion because I think that's what the content classifier is using. Content classifier is making tags for the books and for the chunks. So if it finds a paladin kind of thing, or if I want it to I think the content bit is going to help with search. It's going to help with classification of the data with the library itself. So I can say I only want to look in certain books. I only want to look for certain content. I think the 32 billion model would actually make this a little faster. Who is Strahd?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the models you're using. I can't.
Yeah.
See. There we go. Do you find a difference between like the 14B and the 32? Because I would assume for text you don't need like a 32B model. You'd like something even smaller models, even smaller than 14 might be doable.
Yeah, I did that. I had asked Claude if there would be different pluses and minuses to this. I had just picked 32B because I figured it was faster because it had more decision making pipelines. But Strahd, I actually have quite a bit of Ravenloft related stuff in here, homebrew or otherwise. So it may take a little while to walk through that one. The other thing I kind of thought was kind of cool was I actually have colorblind colors in here. So, my dark mode
accessibility
for accessibility, right? It's called operat0r. operat0r, which is a color scheme for colorblind safe categorical patterns. So you can these are the safe colors for folks in case they are colorblind. So if you're red, green, or whatever,
supposed to be everything on the internet is supposed to be ADA compliant.
I wanted some of my first websites back in the early aughts was we had to be 508 web accessibility compliant, which included those things. So I try to keep to those to keep that color scheme. As a matter of fact, my boss, when I showed him on a dashboard I made, I was like, "Oh, I want it to be colorblind, safe or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, we're going to do that from now on. Everything we design is going to have operat0r color palette for accessibility stuff." And I was like, "Cool," because the funny thing is I'm building this as if I was going to release it, but I have no intentions of ever releasing open source. You and I talked about this just before chat.
Fine. It's fine.
There it is. Okay. So I don't see a reason to have open source anymore, to be honest. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole thing where it's like the whatever they call it, where they put a bunch of scientists in a room to like read the code, and then they write the basically markdown for the code, and then you
oh,
can
sure.
basically steal an open source project by like, the so yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's something to be said to somebody that's worked on a project for 8 years or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going to be the best person to. But yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Was this something like
I,
a billion like GitHub commits or something? And now it's like they plan to do like 14, which is like
yeah.
14 times more. So that's makes sense. I mean, I never used GitHub before until just a few months ago. So I had to get a fast track on that because I had no idea
Yeah.
what I was doing.
I've had one for about 7 years now, but I mostly used it for VS Code and I was writing like text files or something and just putting them up into GitHub. It was only until I started using Claude Code inside of VS Code that I started, telling it to do commits and to, track my information. Hey, Walt, how you doing? Malice is the cloning site. What is cloning site there, Walt? Malice? Malus? I don't know. Let's see. Malice is the cloning site. What is that? Sorry, I have somebody in my Twitch chat here.
Oh no, you're
One
good.
of my other
I'm
regulars.
looking it up.
Malice is a clean room as a service, an AI-driven platform designed to
Yeah,
liberate open source software from existing
yeah, it's
copyright
a
and copyleft
podcast I was listening
licenses.
to. Yeah.
Oh, Malice. Okay, well, Walt wins helpful person of the day. Yeah, I know that clean room is kind of I don't want to say problematic, but yeah, for like reverse
A
engineering
clean room.
drivers
Yeah.
and stuff. Back when I used OpenBSD, they literally said that they had somebody on a phone call like 300 miles away, and they would read how the code would work, and then the person on the other end would be like writing the
Yeah.
implementation in this case. And I was like, wow, that's
That's
kind
the
of a pain in the
idea.
ass. Um,
Yeah.
but you have to show that you independently created it. I mean, you can explain how it works, but then you run into that. So um, very
Nice.
interesting. Malice.sh. Okay. I don't know how clean room as a service would work in this case. It doesn't sound cheap. Doesn't sound cheap. I find
They
the
essentially just had the AI do its own clean room,
yeah,
technically.
I guess so. I guess so. Um, so um, So you have given Jamboree away, and we've talked a little bit about open source. Why do you give away the stuff that you have? I don't want to say I created Darkly. I actually
Well,
had
yeah.
an agent build it, and I'm managing that agent to give me the output I need. But why do you still give away things in this day and age?
I don't know. I mean, I figured, well, I've never really had anything take off much of anything that I've done, anyways. Um, there's been a little bit of interest in the Jamboree project, but not really. I've had more interest in like the CrowdStrike queries that I was posting and collecting
Oh yeah,
when I was hot and heavy into that than
right,
anything
right,
else. But yeah, it's everybody just kind of rips stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
I've never had anybody complain or say anything. But then again, I don't have anybody. It's so niche. I think the Android testing stuff is kind of so niche,
yeah,
and my thing is a big scary file. So I don't think a lot of people like have a level of trust with me because nobody knows who I am. So I think some of that is like this massive PowerShell script that does God knows what, and people don't really trust it. But
yeah,
I use it and I add stuff to it, and the whole idea is to kind of create have like a portable environment that you can just move around and not have to worry about hosing up and not have to worry about environment getting all jacked up or anything. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I don't have a problem other than accidentally posting like secrets or keys or whatever. I've done a couple of times and got myself in trouble. But other than that, there's who cares? I mean, can't complain. Like I have a
right.
video of me taking apart a lock, um, like getting the tumbler out of a lock or something, and from a quick set, like a the crappy locks from like Home Depot. And
Hmm.
I'm like, take a screwdriver and I bang it upside down on like the ground. And somebody's like, that's a horrible job. It's, you don't know what you're doing. It's like, well, where's your video? Like, this works. And if you got anything better, then I really don't care. Then, if you're going to
Yep.
complain, then show me a video that does better. So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
kind of my thing. But yeah, a lot of stuff I add to it is more for personal reasons, so that I can have like I've got like 4 or 5 Jamboree folders, like for different projects and things, and everything's kind of isolated, so I don't have to worry about things getting screwed up. So it's kind of like the Python virtual environment, but it works for everything. So if you got Node and you got some Python with your Node and some Java with your Node, and you're like it starts to become a nightmare to do any kind of development. So
Right.
having like a folder that's got everything in there, then it just works is really nice to have.
Yeah, somebody said that to me today. I was in a meeting and I was like, how are they? Because we were talking about they've inherited a code project or something. I think it was React Native, something like that. But
Nice.
it's the problem is React is like constantly putting out new versions of their stuff, and I was like, we've got Claude. Why aren't you making that happen? And they're like, well, it's a bit complicated, and trying to just tell Claude, hey, go look at this thing, it will completely like, I don't know what to do. So Claude is better with newer projects than it is with in some cases than it is with like existing projects or ones that have a lot of
Yeah.
complication, or you don't have access to all of the things that you're supposed to be touching or working on. And I was like, wow, I didn't actually know that. So um,
Yeah, I mean,
go
luckily for me, everything I is just Python. I just use Python for everything, and then
right.
PowerShell. I'll have it write PowerShell. And the I have some PowerShell steering stuff that I use if I'm like really hot and heavy into writing some PowerShell, so that'll use
Right.
my shortcuts and like not try and do dumb stuff that the LLMs will do. Even the cloud ones, like I'm pretty decent at the how I like my PowerShell to be written. And
Right.
even the cloud stuff will do like the ridiculous things like, no, use my thing, do this way. So as a real coder, I would assume you would get real frustrated real quick if you're trying to get stuff done with LLMs, because they just kind of make up their own cheese. And it looks good on paper and it works. Who cares? But I would imagine if I was a real coder, I would be really frustrated with half the code that gets generated by these things. But
Yeah.
um, once I got a decent template, like you said, for the workers, I just been cloning the workers and
Yeah.
saying, okay, well, you got one for LinkedIn. Okay, here's the one from LinkedIn. Use the one for LinkedIn and make me one for like Google Voice, and it's pretty much easy peasy. I had a coworker or a friend say he tells the prompt to use the browser Chrome in the
Mm-hmm.
CDP mode, which is the debug mode, and then
Right.
also to use accessibility settings so that it can parse the website like easier,
Ah. Yep.
and it like doesn't
Yep.
have to like crawl the DOM as easily or something like that. And I don't know how effective that's been, but I haven't really even looked into how to render a site in accessibility mode and see what it looks like. But I'd like to be
Hmm.
able to do that interactively when I do troubleshooting on scripts and stuff, because my LinkedIn one's not working great. It'll notify me um, when I get a message, but like the invites
Right.
are all, they don't work, and they hit or miss, and I get them sometimes I don't. So what I need to be able to do is run headless all the time if I can,
Right.
using like no I use like no driver to hook some of the stuff um,
Mm-hmm.
for the browser, and I need to be able to actually see what's going on to troubleshoot what the hell the thing is doing. But I
Right.
haven't figured out that accessibility part. I need to figure it out how it actually works. But it,
So
it seems to be able to do better APIs from scratch. So like one
right.
for tile, I'm working on one for tile, so I can like manage all my tiles, and I don't have to pay for the premium subscription or whatever.
Mm.
And I can have more intelligent alerts around my tiles. Because I've got some, my kid's got some, and I've got some in places that I don't care to get alerts from, but I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm out of the house for more than a day, I want an alert on this tile, but there's no setting in the platform for that. So it's pretty much a nightmare since Life 360 bought them. I can't even get an auth token to get the stupid thing to work yet. But I only spent a couple hours on it, or maybe an hour writing that.
Yeah.
But I've got like 3 Gmails, Yahoo, LinkedIn, Google Voice, voicemails, and text messages. and
Nice.
group.me, which is what the scouts
Oh yeah.
use, and partial calendar. I don't really know how I'm still in the planning mode for the calendar, but the idea is to have like an AI calendar that eats all the calendars, and then like the busy available status of my work calendar. At least I can see, maybe not the details because by default it's all protected, secured. But at
Right.
least I can see, okay, well, 2:30 to 3:30, something is happening, and I can't schedule anything at that time. So that's kind of the next step because that's the main reason is to be like a time management device, and then the second piece is the social media. So just eat
Mm.
all of social media and just condense it and compress it. And like I know a lot of people are doing that with the $150 a month plan or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just like it's like, oh yeah, I pay whatever, I pay $100 a month for this. I was like, well, yeah, I could do that, but like I'm not paying $100 a month for
I shouldn't
an AI
need to.
assistant.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
so that's another friend that's doing local stuff, and he's doing like financial stuff too. So I've been talking to him about the rags. He's using like the vector Postgres PG
PG vector.
vector or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
PG
he's
vector.
playing
Yeah.
around with that. So
I was
there's
looking
so
at
many
that instead
rags
of
out there.
quadrant. Yeah, I was looking at because there's PG vector, there's quadrant. Both of them
I'll
kind
have
of
to
do
look
the
it up.
same thing. There's just slightly like performance issues, or there's a certain need for those. But yeah, PG vectors, they're both free. They just do the same thing roughly.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. So I use predominantly Claude, but I was using like Gemini and stuff for like generating cover letters for finding jobs and like trying to tailor my resume for certain positions and things.
Hmm.
My wife is actually using Gemini for helping her to grade papers that she does it at
Hmm.
school because her students are also using AI to write papers, and so she's using it for grading rubrics, like did they format the document correctly? Are they looking at these things? So it's really a time saver for her. And then my good friend Dr. Crispin is using Copilot for investing, and
Nice.
as a way to like track how stocks are doing long term, and making predictions based on that, which I found quite interesting. So you know
I've
uh,
actually thought about it. The friend I was telling you, he's doing sort of half local stuff. So he's doing
mhm,
the cloud,
right.
the paid AI, and then doing local RAG and
Yeah.
local everything else. But he has some kind of stock market thing doing something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'd be willing if you got it working. I'd be willing to give you like a few $100 just to see if you can actually make me money,
Yeah.
and then
Yep.
then keep
The,
doubling down till I can't come home to my wife, right?
exactly. My I've gone through several iterations of my rag, which I'm actually thinking about, like at some point I need to get it to a stable state, which actually it is. I would consider it stable. Everything else that I'm doing is just kind of icing on that cake. But I had initially was like, oh yeah, Claude was like, oh yeah, I can do this for you. I can do all of the OCR for you and all that stuff. And I was like, great. And it's like, oh yeah, you just need to go buy $20 worth of tokens. I was like, I already have tokens. And it's like, no, no, no.
Nice.
These are special tokens to access the SDK. And I was like, okay. So I thought I'd give it a test drive, and I was like, oh, okay, here's a 20-page document. And it's like, okay, it'll take like, 25 cents worth of tokens to be able to process a 20-page document. I was like, it's a little pricey.
Yeah.
But then I was like looking at it, and one of the things you have to look at is like level of confidence, or how well did it actually OCR the file, right? How many mistakes were there? Is there error correction? What's the quality look like? And it was like, this is a 25-page document, but only 15 pages processed. And I was like, well, what the hell is the problem? It was like, oh, we found words that we don't like on there, like
Yeah.
kill or
That's
sword
the
or
other
something
thing
like that.
too. Yeah. The other
Censorship.
thing
I
too
had
with the
no idea
local the
censorship was going to
yep.
be a thing. And I was and
That makes
instead of
sense.
just not processing that word, it just decided not to process that entire
The
page.
whole
And I'm
dump
like,
whole dump the whole thing. Yeah.
and I was like, what the, and it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I get what? What do you want? Oh, hold on. Hold on. I told him you would come in as soon as I shut that door. It only took you 45 minutes though. Rah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one I use for the resume stuff. It does
Oh
like
yeah.
Python code for little graphics you can make. And it's like for ATS resume. So I just copy and paste the job rec or whatever
Okay.
the person sent me an email or something. I'll just
Right.
copy and paste it. I just do it for giggles because like the place I'm at, there's not really going to be anything. The offensive security stuff is so niche and few and far between.
Right.
I don't actively look, so I get random emails from people, and I'll reply back and just not even think, just copy and paste. My resume
Yeah.
is at the bottom, so you can basically, it's like I think right now it's like a 15,000 tokens or
Right.
15,000 characters or whatever. So I can copy and paste the whole resume to the end of that, and then it's basically like a free ATS thing. Yeah, kind of like these guys.
Yeah.
Skill Slicer does the
The
same thing.
nullsec 404 guys. I saw that on their Discord. They have a job board
Obfuscate.
over on nullsec 404 that somebody had mentioned. This is how you can get your resume against various
Yeah,
ATSs, which would include the shit one like Workday or what have you.
nice.
Some of the other ones will work a little better, but yeah, that one worked really well. Uh, so here's a question: how do you interact with your LLMs? Because I I talk to people at work, and it's like, oh yeah, they built this thing, and I was like, okay, well, how did you do that? How long did it take you to do it? Well, it took a little while to get the prompt in place. And I was like, prompt, and they showed me this prompt, and it's like War and fucking Peace or whatever,
Yeah,
because yeah,
nice.
and it's like at the end of that they expect to have something that works, and I was like, yeah, I just chat with mine and just tell it to like iterate, oh, do this thing, do this thing, oh
Yeah,
yeah, fix this thing, and oh yeah, log this as work to do later or whatever. How do you interact with yours so that you get the output that you need? Maybe my way is god awful, and I should be
yeah,
writing fucking novels to be able to get what I need. But
yeah.
maybe that's not the best way either.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the problem that's another problem with the your mom censorship type of thing. That's the reason why I don't do the paid stuff. Is That's the
Mm-hmm.
main reason. Is because I don't want to be in the
Right.
middle of something and worry about having to like jailbreak, like
Uh,
Claude or something.
right.
That's
Right.
one reason, like you said, and because it happens, like random, especially doing like pen testy stuff. I'll be like, hey, I got this and I want to scan this and tell me what the best way to do it.
I
Oh,
can.
well, I can't help you
Yeah.
that. It's like your mom.
Right.
So that's one of the main reasons I do it. And then the other is like just these platforms, they want you to burn tokens. They don't care. They do not
Sure.
care. So like if you're
Yeah.
using the platform straight up without any kind of like plugin or compression or anything like that, they're just gonna
Mm.
break you over the coals they'll just fill up the context window with
Yeah.
everything. And you'll be bleeding tokens before you know it. So
Yeah.
like having that local proxy, I actually ran the local proxy with root code and root code. I was running root code and local LLMs with um, VS Code, and root code would throw all kinds of crap in there, and VS Code would throw all kinds of extra crap in there. Um,
Right.
and I would already be like 20,000 tokens into the first thing, and I'm like, I haven't even done anything yet, and I'm already out
Right.
half my tokens. So I cannot use this platform. So I started using the proxy to like strip out stuff and like kind of judge itself. And I incidentally basically made the thing my coworker made inadvertently. And then I realized that I was using the wrong agent because I can't handle those massive agents that
Yeah.
just eat everything and have massive context windows. And so I think PyCode is the super minimal one that everybody's kind of using now, and then
Right.
there's Aider, which is like for straight up code crazy people would want to eat like massive amounts of code, um, and they'll use that to like do crazy like rewrites or whatever. That's what supposedly the real coders are using. But I think there's already some new hotness that's replaced Aider now. But I've been using Pi and I've been rewriting the like the basically templates that it uses to create its prompts and like cutting those in half.
Right.
And there's not really a whole lot of difference in between the output because it does no matter what they start they're all wordy is the problem. So even like the local Quinn model I use, it'll start going wordy, 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 wordy. I'm like, dude, why are you telling me so many words and like talking to yourself for so long when everything I've given you tells you to compress everything and talk like compressed, and it
Right.
talks to itself. It talks to itself in 1,000 token increments sometimes, and you're like, God, please don't. I
Ah,
don't need you to go. So yeah, a lot of it is just rewriting the prompt templates with PyCode
right.
and making and watching LM Studio, because you can see the full logs in LM Studio. And what I'll do is just cheat, and I'll take a conversation, slice it up into like 3 or 4 different pieces, and then feed that to Kaji and to ask Kaji, hey, based on this whole transaction,
Hmm.
what, tell me my optimization, what am I doing? Here's the, setup, here's my configuration for LM Studio, how I have all the temperature and all that stuff, which is not in the logs. And
Sure.
it'll say, okay, turn this to that. Okay, 30% of this is useless, and you went in circles for 10 minutes. Like, okay, well, I can't help you with that, but like it gives you an idea of where you're choking on your tokens, and
Yeah.
you just got to be super super lean with it. But yeah, everybody's got their
Huh.
prompts and whatnot, and I have, like I said, I shared the one I have is like a few prompts, and I have like a couple of um, MCPs that I turned into basically extensions for PyAgent. And then I released the Google Voice one because there's no Google Voice like APIs out there. So I went on to GitHub and I was like, I'm rewriting one right now. So like it takes 10
Yep.
seconds to write. But I did have to do a fair amount of work with the Google Voice one because there's like no API at all for that thing. So I like released those. But yeah, it's all about people's prompts and what works and what doesn't.
Have you tried the
Um,
caveman one? I know that I just posted one
yeah,
up that Walt had posted about
yeah,
caveman.
I was listening. I think I was listening to your thing, and you talked about the caveman thing, and I actually put it into to Pi thing, and it really worked. But it did give me the idea to start trimming down more, because I had an addition. It's like addition system prompt. So at the end, it puts
Right.
the compression at the end, and I said, well, I already have a system prompt. Why am I putting a system prompt on top of my system prompt? So based on your idea, I went and had Pi agent look at all its templates and compress all its own templates using the compression that I've kind of tweaked a little bit here and there
Hmm.
over time. And it's like uses symbols and stuff like that. And I've used I've talked to the AI to try to come up with other ones. Like, when you can read words that are missing, what is it? It's like you're missing consonants or you missed the vowels or something. You can just
Right.
read whatever. And I tried doing that. I also tried emojis, and I told it to
Emojis.
compress. Yeah, I tried it to compress
Okay.
via emojis, and I was like trying to read news articles that were just emojis, which was a nightmare. It's like, okay, so champion means reward or prize. It's like, what? Okay, that's a goblet, so some kind of reward. I can't read this.
There's a lot of
And then it
eggplants on
ends up
this
being
page. What's with the egg?
that's
All the
right,
eggplants on this.
that's right. So, and I used it, and then I looked at what's the the typing for the courts. What do they call it? The shorthand
uh.
typing.
Oh,
I can't
like
read
stenographer,
that.
like like a
Yeah, the
shorthand kind of thing.
stenographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had it look at that and like, okay, make a compression based on that, and it didn't really help.
Mm,
So really, the only thing that helps is kind of the compression prompt that I've got is like the best one that I've been able to come up with.
okay.
Um, and then again, it's still, once it starts talking to itself and doing the thinking or the reasoning or whatever the hell you want to
Right.
call it,
Right.
it just goes off the fucking rails no matter what, and you can't get it to like. I guess what I'd have to do is, actually, that's a good idea, is fine tune my own model, fine tune with
Well,
compression, if that's
don't
even
leave me in
possible.
suspense. Share your screen if you're doing
Yes.
stuff. We
Yeah,
can
that would
have
be
fun and learn. So
yeah, I'll show you kind of what I got set up here in a second if you want.
yeah, that'd
Um,
be great.
but the problem is
I
still the context window is like, if I eat a couple of websites and I don't close it out and reopen it, I have to like compress every time I do anything. But
uh,
the way coding works is, I guess you're supposed to make little tiny files. So it has no problems opening up like any of the workers or working with the
right.
existing code. It's when I start consuming websites,
Yeah.
and even when I use my crazy markdown, um, like it does 2 different passes, and it'll check for around the search you termed. So
Hmm.
you type in, like how to club baby seals, and it goes to the website and finds how to club baby seals and pulls lines above and below it, right? So like
Right.
just as an example. So it'll pull like 10 lines above and below it. So you're not getting like all the headers and all the footers, you're just getting like the main content. And then it's supposed to do a second run to where it uses the AI to guess keywords out of that search result and
Right.
like find 5-10 lines around each one of those, and
Right.
then give you a compressed version of the useful stuff. Like I just want the post, I don't want
Right.
90% of Reddit, I just want the meat of what I would search for. So like
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
that's the killer feature, is like making a local MCP or a local extension that will do web search, that's not getting throttled or blocked or captured,
Right.
and then that will give you results quickly and compress them locally, like highly compressed. So
Nice.
it gets that
Nice.
markdown, and once it gets the markdown, I can do like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 sites, and then I have to write a markdown out to like
Hmm.
consume it, and then once I do that, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should be able to load up stuff. I can show you the talent help.
Let me make sure that
Basically,
you're the host or whatever for
send a
this. There you
request.
go. Yep. There you go. All right. Cool.
Yeah, let's see. This is the talent voice thing. I always have to turn the camera. I actually have a USB hub that's like a fancy USB 3.0 hub, because I bought a
Hmm.
crappy one 5 years ago.
All right.
And when I switch around, it would just explode, because there's like this Tobii eye tracker takes like I don't know how many volts, and then the camera takes volts, and then I have a keyboard and a mouse, and this headset takes up you know stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to make sure to turn the camera off, microphone, and then there's different models. And the main developer recently made it so you could do Whisper, which I don't know why that's code format. It should be Whisper. So there's different uh, speech recognition engines,
Yeah.
but he's got them all in GPU now. So instead of hogging up the CPU with the voice models,
Feel
you
free
can
to
use them
feel free to
local
share
with
your screen at
Whisper.
any time if Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, I thought I was sharing. Let me go back.
There you go.
Oh, screen. There we go. There, you might see something now.
Sweet. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Come
So
on.
here,
There
it's
it
this
is.
guy. So
Ew.
there's camera.
Windows. Gross. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
the default Windows background. Hey, once we had WSL, I I really don't honestly don't care about anything
Oh yeah.
anymore.
100%. Yep.
Um, you can hate all you want, but now for media server is Linux. For anything internet facing is Linux. I'm not gonna mess around with that
Right.
from a
Yep.
security standpoint.
Yep.
I already owned myself once. But it's got like a dictation mode, which you just talk and the words come out.
Okay.
And then command mode is for all the different commands. And they
Right.
have like tons of default commands, and it's like cross-platform, runs Python. I think most of it's Python. Um, but I'll use dictation mode a fair amount when I'm doing
Hmm.
code. Um, but I'm trying to find something that works to have just an open mic, so I don't have to have a headset on all day.
Right.
I'm gonna have to figure something out, because having this on all day when I'm trying to code is annoying. But there's the eye tracker. You can do like a calibration step, so it kind of has you like look at a dot, and you're like training. Because I changed my
Hmm.
resolution, so everything's going to be
Oh,
weird.
okay. Oh,
They
I
say if
see.
your
So
eyes are
yeah.
jacked up, it'll screw up the tracking a little bit.
So if you're Steve Buscemi, you're going to have some issues.
Something like that. Something like that.
I love Steve Buscemi. Please don't send me hate mail. I love Steve Buscemi.
Control mouse. Mouse control. It's been way too long. I lost all my notes for Talon Voice. Wake
Oh
up.
yeah.
Wake up. Control mouse. I don't think you can see the subtitles for whatever reason.
No, I'm not seeing the subtitles. No.
But it'll tell you what you're saying. And there's like mouse gaze, but I should be able to like look around and It's just annoying.
Does it have specific like parameters or like controls that have to be locked down before you'll be able to like use it? It's just dialing it in where it works properly.
Um, yeah, it's the the hardest part is remembering alpha. It's like help alphabet. Alpha, help alphabet. I think I can't remember anymore. I can't believe I lost all my notes. I had like to do items in there and everything.
Oh yeah.
But they have like a default user community
Mm-hmm.
based. So this entire folder is all community based scripts for all kinds of crazy stuff. Like there's tons of like JetBrains and like all
Oh
Notepad
wow.
plus plus. Like it comes
Okay.
standard with all kinds of craziness. And like you there go spend forever in there. And like for browser, I use this Rango. So you can go to like go to Google and you can say click by by letters.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. It makes the browsing a lot easier. So like, I mean, God forbid you had to do like YouTube. It's like annoying. So you can say, click
Oops.
that stick. I don't know what the was it help alphabet? Yeah.
Oh, hey, there you go.
So you say
Oh, it's like a phonetic alphabet. Why don't they just
yeah.
use a phonetic
Click
alphabet
air
instead
gust.
of?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, having to memorize this is like the hardest part.
Yeah,
And
phonetic
I'm gonna
alphabet would have been
imagine that
way easier. But I mean,
yeah,
I come from the military, so it would make sense for me. So,
I think the reason that the phonetic alphabet is not used is because I think it's long and also I don't think it's that optimized for like voice recognition, especially like with accents and stuff. So
oh,
this is like
yeah,
if you
okay.
want the best, like sit is a word that doesn't sound like any other word is the idea.
Sit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think duck 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 that was one of my commands. Duck duck that would fix all the windows.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've uninstalled and reinstalled it like a bunch of times. So I think all my custom stuff is all hosed out now. But yeah, you have to learn. Essentially, you have to learn this, and then you have to learn a lot of the basic commands to like do window management and all that.
Right.
Um, mm, clicking is broken.
What does the
I broke
clicking
the
do
clicking.
for you?
You make sounds, so you can do like hisses and things like that
Okay.
to do different things, like right click or like basic commands can be sounds. And you can,
Oh, I see.
yeah. So there's like
So
hiss,
a clicking
pop,
sound or a hiss might be
click.
right click or
Mhm.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but I had to like remove a few things to fix stuff. So maybe that's not working for some reason.
I would imagine that trying to use that to program would be somewhat difficult with all the special characters that you would need. You'd almost want to use this in terms of like a voice for an AI agent or something like that instead of trying to remember to use an A or use that. So yeah, I've got Talon.
Yeah.
Talon Voice is actually a link in on our chat there, talonvoice.com. Uh,
Yeah, the paid one is like I don't know, it's like a Patreon thing. But this
yeah, they're
guy,
on
like if you're
Patreon.
hardcore coding, this guy like wrote a thing to do all that. So it's basically like a VS
Pokey
Code
Rule.
thing.
Okay.
So he'll like um it'll I mean this is like 4 years old now,
Okay.
but it's you see the little dots above. So like yeah, like coding by voice and like all these weird shortcuts on the top and moving it around. It's like super complicated, but yeah,
I
and he's just like, oh, I just clicked something.
Is he?
Go to
Yeah.
sleep.
So he's voice coding, but yeah, it looked like there were some facial expressions or something he was using as well for that.
No, he's all just using.
No, it's just voice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You probably can't hear any of this, but
No, that's okay. I have the YouTube channel. I put it in our chat as well. So Pokey
yeah,
Rule.
that
I'll
one's
take a look at that one later. But because I know the Claude desktop that I'm using has the ability to like do voice, but then I find when I'm trying to talk to Claude to tell it to do something, I'm like, and then it's like, oh, you're asking, you're not asking the right thing. So there's definitely I need to have a presence of mind to be able to go exactly what I want and to communicate that accordingly. Otherwise, I end
yeah,
up with a lot of
it's
uhs and ums, and it doesn't know what the hell I want. So
yeah, you have to be quick about it. So you can say like, say the tree is round and everything is great,
right,
and then you say enter. But if you're not fast enough, it'll stop. You have to like restart and move left and
yeah,
delete left four. And so like I had some of that, but I really think the hardest part is going to be like command line stuff.
right,
And I'm gonna have to
right.
find some ask around and say, how are you guys doing command line? Because having to like, sit cat plex backslash like that would take for freaking ever. So
Oh,
there's has
yeah,
to be some kind of like UI shortcut where I can click elements in a UI and like, I mean, I know uh, MOBA has a bunch of stuff like that where you can drag and drop stuff and it'll type whatever's in UI elements to make that stuff easier. So I know I have some of that stuff already built into to to MOBA.
it feels like you
That
would
is
want
gonna
to
help.
have like a word attached to a specific action. Like if you say windmill, it's going to know to curl -w to this website or
Yeah,
something like that. Or,
yeah,
like your alias on in your Linux is going to be like, instead of LL for ls-l, it's going to be like windmill is going to be, go ahead and do that curl command, or, something that you're constantly doing all the time, multiple times. There may be somewhere it's like you're saying, I may have to go to a specific website once in a while, and that's going to be painful in that case.
yeah,
Hey, there's Jamboree 5.6. Wow. Okay.
yeah. That's what I use to start up the VS Code. I don't remember what
Oh,
all was I doing
you
here.
love you some dark mode, I can tell you, because
Yeah,
I'm almost past
anti
dark
dark mode.
mode, years old. So yeah,
Yeah, and like
yeah,
these like keys, these basic auth keys, like they just like come from nowhere. Like I don't
right.
like, and none of this works. So I had to like eventually fix it, but it does
Yep.
work. You can make APIs. I've messed around a little bit with it. I recorded a har file and had to read the har file to say, hey, pull my authentication tokens out of this.
Nice,
Um, so there's the
nice.
scrape MCP that'll. It's not even an MCP; it's an extension. So this
Yep.
is the scrape one that'll just scrape URLs um, using just regular browser, and this is all the debug stuff that came over from the MCP. Um, and it helps
Do
troubleshoot like any kind of weird issues. And then
you
here's
mentioned
the
you
Kaji one, which
mentioned
is kind of
you
cool.
mentioned the MCP there. So when you're building something with an AI agent, one of the things that I kind of realized after a while was, if anything goes wrong, I have to go to the AI and say, hey, what's wrong with this? What's the status of this thing? Which is why I built out the logging aspects of it, which is why I built out the troubleshooting aspects of
Yeah,
it with, different UI bits there, where it's like I can read the logs and see what's going on. Oh, this system doesn't have, logs. I need to have, you need to insert, logging opportunities anywhere in the Python script to show
hmm
me what the activities are
yeah,
going on with that. Or if it doesn't have this, or like I was using the Dockling library, not Dockling server, and then once I moved to Dockling server, it was like, oh, okay, I have all these extra endpoints that will tell me telemetry and logging and status of things, and it's like, because my option was, well, I could use Dockling, but I'm going to need to modify it, so I'm going to have to fork my own Dockling or something like that. And even Claude was like, yeah, don't do that, you're stupid. And I'm like, oh, okay.
nice.
Use server or something. But then I got to the point where it was like, every time something went wrong, I had to go to the AI and go, hey, what's wrong with this thing? So I was like, I need telemetry, I need visibility, I need the ability to fix it myself, or I need the ability for this
Yeah.
system to self
And what's
heal
great
if
is when
there's a
it's like,
problem.
you're having it write code and it's like, okay, we'll go to the burp suite log and look at the log file. And it's, dude, you're at the computer. solve your own problems, write your own debug, like
Right.
write everything in hex output. Like that's what I do a lot is I'll like, especially with like websites, I'll have it write a hex dump of
Uh-huh.
the output so that it doesn't
Right.
like screw up any kind of ingestion or what like trying to parse
Oh.
DOM or whatever. So if you're working with websites and you want to do like full anything, if you're doing like full debug logging of something, you just tell it to
Hmm.
debug in hex and it'll like, uncompress the hex or whatever, unmingle the hex. You
Right.
can't read it, but it makes it for really easy idiot proof. It's almost like doing the easy hack of like encoding PowerShell when you want to like triple escape a command in PowerShell. Instead of like trying to triple escape it, you just put it in and then
Right.
tell it to encode it, and then it's just one long blob of binary like that, that's encoded. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll use that to, like the hex um hex dumps, like full debug, do perform full debug on everything, like every single
Ah.
thing you do, debug it. Like I want to know when you click a button. I want to know when you render a page, when you scrape in the DOM, like wherever the problem is. I just tell it to fix its own problems. But this is using Kaji's quick answers,
Uh-huh.
and it scrapes the quick answers and then pulls the URLs from each quick answer, and then
Oh, I gotta fix
does
that.
like an intelligent like grabbing of whatever I searched for
Yep.
instead of pulling like the whole page, and then it'll hopefully quiet down
Yeah.
and like give me a whatever. So I'm already at 10% token usage
Dear
out of
God.
66.
So so that's an interesting question. So we were, talking a little bit earlier about, like you said, where it's telling you to go to burp and do this thing, and you're like, you're the computer, you do it. You're burning your own tokens when you could run a curl command, or we're running into this at work where people think, oh, I need to use Fable on max effort or something like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
every million tokens you use is going to be $5 to $10, and it's like you're querying an MCP when there should be an API that you can query independently of that for less money, or less tokens. I would say not less money necessarily, but so
Yeah, when I was doing the like web page scraping, I almost broke down and bought like an API to scrape web pages, and I was like, no, I'm
Right.
not doing it.
Right.
Yeah, you're saying sorry.
No. You're 100%. It's like, we're at the point right now where we're not so much saving tokens. It's like we're telling people you should be querying the API and pulling that data, not using the MCP, which is going to cost you more tokens in this case. So it's almost like tokens on tokens. If you have the API querying the MCP endpoint, which is also an API inside of Jira or something, you're going to be using a ton of data. But if I make a dashboard to query and have a button where it'll be like, click this button to sync your API, then I can I automatically have an application that will go out and query that API for me instead of having Claude or whatever spending 100,000 tokens or
It's
whatever.
bad.
Yeah,
it's so bad. Like,
yeah.
And that's why I literally sit there and watch. I watch the context window.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, especially when
I definitely do that too.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I can watch the whole thing, and that what are you using for the? Are you using Olama or Studio or
for what?
I know they both support for like the local AI agent thing. The thing that loads the LLM.
Yeah, I'm using Olama for that. My Olama is it is, let me see, open Olama.
I know for a while Olama wouldn't do the Apple super fast Apple stuff, and now it can.
Yeah, it's
I'm back for Olama. Some people.
Which one have I got? Yeah, I have the Quinn. Yeah, I'm using Quinn 2.5. I'm using the 14 billion for the classifier, which it told me it would be faster, and then the 32 for search, like for the search aspects of it. I was actually using Lava for a while, LAVA 34 billion for that. But yeah, it's the only part of Darkly that runs outside of Docker directly onto directly on chip and on bare metal. I've had quite a lot of my problems have just been Docker related because of like VirtuoIFS or something like that. The virtual file system for Docker, it gets stale after a while and just stops working. So I've had to figure out ways to add keep alives in my programming so that when I'm pulling books from
Yeah.
my local drive into the Docker for ingestion, that bridge stays
Stays
open all the
alive.
time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah, I didn't actually
Yeah,
realize how
what'll
poor
happen
Docker
sometimes.
was until I started using it.
Yeah, that'll happen sometimes even with the chat, like
Yeah.
on the one I use for work. If I walk off for like an hour and a half and come back, I'll hit a command and it's like, nope, you disconnected. I'm like, well, I need to finish this conversation. It's like, nope, you
Right.
gotta start all over, and I gotta
Yep.
find the session file and bring it back in. But yeah,
Yep.
this
Yep.
MTP thing recently came out, and I don't know the difference between the MOE and MTP, but I just know once I got this MTP with the whatever the model I'm running, it
Mm-hmm.
made like a it made a massive difference in the and just it just made it usable. Like
Hmm.
before, I was using an MOE that was a Quinn. It was like a Quinn 2 point whatever, 2.4 or whatever, an older model, and I tried other models, and it would
Yeah.
write code, but it just didn't. It wasn't agentic. It wouldn't like make shit work. It would write code and
Right.
it would work, but it wasn't like idiot proof. And this is the first time I've actually been able with this model and this setup, and maybe I'm just super lucky. I've actually been able to get it to do stuff, as long as I like spoon feed it a little bit at a time. But yeah, this is the MPP stuff is like the newer hotness. It's like I don't really understand how it works. It's different. Predict tokens and positions +1, +2, and it's on simultaneously at inference times. These headers are typically dropped. Um, but yeah, that's a different thing. Other than the MOE, it's like a different way to do. And if you see the little three dots, that's the compression, the
Okay.
the compression for the Pi agent, so that's not super super duper wordy.
Right on.
Yeah,
Yeah, my biggest issue is the type of models I can use because with OCR you have to use vision related models, which are
yeah. This one has
they
vision.
process audio or they process visual data like images, text, being able to analyze those things. So I'm not saying I can't use just any model that won't support OCR or analyzing of those chunks and bits. So really sucks because like Gemini has a really good one. Claude's is super good. The problem is, like I said, the censorship thing, like not being able to process massive bits of thing. But every time everything I threw at it, and then realized it only processed 30% of the books that I was or documents I was doing. 100% like solid like one for one bit character
Nice.
recognition stuff. So Walt
Yeah.
Walt says Docker is a lab experiment that escaped production. Yeah, that's why I had to build my orchestrator in there because I was like, I need it to be able to monitor everything and be like, oh, go out and send a keep alive to the keep virtual IO running, or what's the status of these
Yeah.
workers, or what's the status of PostgreSQL or PostgreSQL. And it's like I needed to have something that was overseeing everything instead of the workers doing all that stuff. I actually had to decentralize the work. So I had workers that were doing certain things at the same time they were trying to ingest things, and it was running into issues and performance issues. If anything, this has taught me how not to architect solutions or how not to do
Yeah.
things in a certain way. And I don't know if that's something that programmers come up with, but it's like, I figured out, I need to have some kind of overseer that's managing all of this stuff and doing self healing. Like, this worker hasn't checked in 20 seconds. Okay, let me get rid of that. Or, if I have to shut down this service right now, is it going to lose? I have 300-page document that's running. I'm in page 157. Am I going to lose 157 pages worth of work? So where's the resiliency? Where is it? I need to have this, processing and outputting. Yeah, design is a bitch.
Yeah,
Design is a bitch.
You start doing stuff and then you realize you've done the design wrong and you have to like start all over. So I'm trying to do like a dual approach. That's basically the front end is Obsidian.
Yeah, BGE M3. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And you can use like all kinds of plugins to do like SQL queries and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is going to be my front end, and then in tandem, I'd like to do something like what you're doing and try the RAG thing also. So I can have like plain text search and do the RAG and compare the two and see which one I like better. But
Yep.
I think when I was talking to a couple people, they're like, you don't have enough data for a RAG. Like there's not enough, like your personal data, that you keep is just not enough for a RAG. Like
You can
riprap can
find
like
data.
tear through, yeah, it can
Yeah.
like tear through, even if I like all my GitHub is not even that much data. Like it's
Right.
not.
Right.
So at least for what I'm ingesting, I don't need I don't need a RAG right now, but I do want to.
Right.
I'm sure there's going to be something that I want to query. Like I said, like my car, like I want to be able to like type in whatever I want to fix my car and not have to like search through 975 18 gig 18 meg PDFs to try to like figure out how to replace the lower control arm on my car. So
Exactly.
that's
You could
kind of
pull
what
up
I'm
the
picturing at
Chilton
some point.
manuals or something. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Chilton manual or something, and
yeah,
pulling, yeah, going in and looking at those things. Is that still a thing? The Chilton manuals? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
This
When I
is
was a
just
kid,
some
my father
website.
had some for his
Like
Jeeps and stuff. But yeah,
you could download all the you could download all the books, all the manuals for Q40.
there is so
Yeah,
much
all the
data. Yeah, like
manuals.
archive.org is your friend, right? It's like, there's so much stuff there. Yeah. And
Yeah,
for you, in your case, you don't really need OCR. You would just need something that would be able to, like PyMu PDF or something like that, to pull all those text files in, because it's literally just black text. There's no images. So my problem was, it would have been way simpler if I didn't have that, couple thousand worth of, bunch of JPEGs just put into a PDF file, and everything was just had its own text layer that could be pulled out. Or, I wanted the images pulled out of that so that I could, ultimately I was like, when I first started building it, was like, I wanted to be able to recreate the PDF if I wanted to, make the PDF again. So, or
yeah, you need a
there's
lot
a
more. You need images than when you need
right,
more than just text. That's when it starts to get. I don't even know how
right.
you do that. Like I guess that one I'll have to look at that one document thing. Um,
Yeah.
to see if I have more complex OCR needs. But
Oh
yeah, this
yeah.
was like I had it eat all the Nissan service manuals, so I ripped them all from this site, which is like a bazillions
Oh,
of
there
like
should be
just
a
tons of
good
like
there should be a ton of pictures in there, right? Like, or
yeah,
schematics or
like
something. So
diagrams and
you've
stuff.
got
Yeah,
diagrams and schematics you're going to have to deal with too. So
yeah,
yeah, you would need something probably just as robust as what I'm making with regards to this, because
yeah,
you need that entire image. You
yeah.
can't, like,
Well,
the
for me, it
text
would
is
be
fine,
as
but you
long
may
as you
need the
have the
context.
as long as you have the source files, I can go and look. Okay, page
Right, right,
83 of whatever.
right,
I don't necessarily need it all right there, but that was my kind of
right.
first use case. Was hey, I want to be able to search my car manual like instantly and be idiot
Yep.
proof, almost
Welcome to
idiot proof
Car
in some
Talk
case.
with Operator and
That's right.
Brake. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the
Walt,
like
you're.
the ranking of
Oh,
most of the models. So like this one's like the jailbroken Quinn 3.6. So like
right,
it's supposed to be uncensored or whatever.
right.
I don't know. I haven't run into
That
any
make
issues with a regular one.
that's pretty
But
cool.
I'll take the uncensored ones over any of them. I use it as my base model, and then I also use
Yeah,
where's that weird one?
yeah.
No,
Well,
not
Walt's
Gemini.
right though. He says the difference between junior and senior people is that seniors often have made those mistakes before, so they make them less when they start a project. I think just architecting things and then realizing, oh, I fucked up and I have to
Yeah,
go do something else. Oh, I have to fix this thing. Oh, I didn't think about doing this thing. It's kind of helped inform me about how I do security stuff at work as well, because it's like, what they're briefing me on right now isn't going to be what's going to ship, because they're going to come up with other things that are going to have to be added or subtracted, or we didn't realize these things is or whatever. So when I talk with them, I'm like, okay, we're going to look at it now when it's early. And then I need to look at it again before it ships to see what the deltas are and what things you had to add or maybe things you had to delete. It's usually never deletion. It's usually, oh, we had to add on these things, or we had to add this thing, or somebody came in and said we need this feature as well to ship. So, it's kind of helped inform me from a security point of view that I have to sympathize with them. I will not have to, but I sympathize with them now, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just
yeah,
like you in that way, where, oh, I've got this ooh shiny thing, or, oh, this thing I thought was going to work didn't work, and I actually had to trade it out for something else. So version 1 of my OCR LLM system is definitely not what version 5 looks like, and so there's
yeah.
just been a huge amount of changes.
I even took like some God mode. Uh, I took some God mode like some guys uh, Obsidian, like his free Obsidian vault. It
Uh-huh.
was like how to like use all the things, and I tried to get the AI to eat it, and it like sort of did, but then
Right.
I have no idea how to use Obsidian, and I have no idea how the linking works or any of that shit. So like I'm gonna have to redesign the Obsidian part at some point,
Right.
because there's so many plugins, and it's all cross-platform. So that's the idea, is to have, the phone, computer, a potato, it doesn't matter, a toaster, and I can
Right.
pull it up and do manage my life with Obsidian. That's
Yep.
kind of the working thing. But this is like, the other one is the a better compact that I use that will
Right.
manage the compacting of the context window better, a little bit better. It does better calculations. I don't know how it does
Yep.
it, but it doesn't compress as much, and it decides when to compress instead of when it just gets big. But I've had some success with the better compression stuff.
Nice. Do you ever waste time on things like creating an S bomb or creating? Have you done refactoring on any of your stuff? Like, oh,
Yeah,
I know
when
that
I
my
get
Python
done,
script has a bunch of dead shit, or
yeah, like when I got it working in a working form, I had it write out the main, like, what the hell is it, is it doing? What did I build?
right,
You know,
right,
and it ended up being kind of a reconstruction. I don't know.
nice.
Yeah, basically, hey, I screwed everything up. What does it look like if I need to rebuild this thing,
Hey,
and how
that
does the
those
flow
are
work or
nice. Hey,
whatever?
look at those. Those are great.
Yeah, these are the ones, like a couple of them
Sequence,
I've had to
yes,
redo and
sequence
fix.
diagrams are great. Yeah. I've
Um,
actually started requiring our teams at work when we're doing security reviews not to give us just data flow diagrams, but to give us the logical sequence diagrams as well, so we can go, okay, why is this component talking to this component? Yeah, this here, the data flow pipeline, but I call them sequence diagrams because that's how everybody knows them at work. So,
yeah, yeah, like like weighted. I have a bunch of filters I want to add,
oh,
like AI filters and like plain
okay,
text filters. So
right, right,
I'll have like general filters, like, hey, if it's a sales thing or like a notification of a promotion, I don't really give a shit about that, minus
right,
20, minus 10, whatever.
right.
Um, so the idea is to like have like AI based filtering that the AI uses to filter out, and then just like straight up plain text. Like if it's from whatever at com, it's do
Hmm.
this to it. And it's kind of been working so far.
That's
Um,
cool. Yeah,
and right now I'm having it just give me kind of like what it thinks it would need to do,
right.
like action items. And then eventually, if the action items start to match actually what I would do, then I might have it start actually executing on stuff, which would be kind of the near future state,
Right.
so that it's actually doing something useful other than time management. But there's so many, you get so many messages, and I can't remember anything. So like if you send me an email and then a message through Discord, I'll spend 10 minutes trying to get all the context together in my head and
Mm,
come up with a so I have to have something that can do everything at once and scan all my stuff
right,
at once.
right.
So that's kind of, I'm starting to lose my mind, I think, getting old. So
So speaking of like forgetting things or whatever, how are you tracking your work? Are you using GitHub like issues or something like that, or are you using some other
I don't trust
third,
myself.
secondary bit?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't trust myself with Git, but you can go in here and I can say, do a Git commit, blah blah blah, with the stuff we talked about. And like that, I'm supposed to probably be doing that when I make changes, but I just back up the folder because I don't trust myself with Git. Um, I actually had to redo a lot of the backend for the web. What does it call it? Uh, for Open Web UI. Something
Mm-hmm.
broke with that, and I had to restore from Git, and the Git didn't work either. So
Ah,
maybe I don't trust myself with Git. I'm not doing it right or something. So
right.
um, you know,
Yeah.
but this is what I use locally for just the base model, which is that Quinn. the same coding model, and I use
Okay.
it for everything. And it's in a web search, and
Nice.
it's pretty speedy once it's loaded up, and you can do the conversation with it, have talk to it. Once I do
Right.
SSL.
Do you ever
Um,
does it allow you to do things like so does your local model do things like save state or like lessons learned or anything like that? Because I I'm still extolling the virtues of beads for most AI agents. You can actually use it to do things like create memories so
yeah,
that you don't forget your status across various sessions or what have you. You can just tell it BD prime or whatever, and they'll go back and go, oh, okay, here's the session file from last time, or here's the lessons learned that we did
yeah,
that, or you can tell it to, okay, always do unit tests. When I'm making a new feature, always create a unit test or something like that. And when I'm running Claude, and it'll actually work in Gemini or it'll work in the other things, it'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna have to create some unit tests for these things because it's also installed Playwright for me at some point because it needed a headless browser so that it
yeah.
could, do some tests on my UI. So
Um, yeah, I use the the one that's supposed to kind of do that
Hermes
is this
agent. Okay.
Hermes. Yeah, this Hermes agent, and it's
Oh.
supposed to like as you. I think it's for big models, for like
Uh huh.
frontier models. But
Okay.
the idea I think is as you do stuff, it creates like stuff for you. So instead of having to write a
Hey.
markdown file every time you figure some shit out, it's
Right.
supposed to like do it for you.
Oh, very
But
cool.
I don't have enough. Yeah, I don't have enough tokens to do this nonsense.
I
Um,
see. Oh, it
but yeah,
costs you. This costs you tokens, the Hermes agent, or is it the AI agent? It costs your AI agent tokens to do that.
I think it's just another AI. It's just another, agentic agent that the idea is that it's supposed to like write fixes for stuff for you.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so like you said, if you're writing code and it's like, oh, build a this or use decrim or always do
Right.
unit test, it'll make skills for you as you like train it essentially, and it's supposed to
Huh.
like do that for you. But
Well, if you
I
want
I looked
something,
at it and watched a few videos and I was like, I ain't got the tokens for this thing. I'd had I just
right,
and half the time my stuff is one off, rando town. I'm like, I'm not.
right.
But that's the prompt I use. Is that the one I gave you in the chat? It's like the use
Okay.
decrim. I have a hotkey for it.
Yeah.
Um, where to go? I don't even know where.
Do research, use
Yeah,
chain of thought, reasoning, decrim, ask yourself 10 questions about how to approach differently and what other problems there could be, create separate proposal files. Yeah, I usually ask Claude to debate me on something. Don't be a yes man, tell me I'm stupid, or
mhm,
hey, I've just made this application. Tell me, yeah, and we're doing this at work too. It's like I want people to, when they come to us with a security review, I'd like for them to actually give me some kind of like they've done their research ahead of time. So I'll tell them, ask Claude to, after it's made this cool thing, to go back in and, assume a role as a red team operator or something and break your system or show how ugly your baby is here in this case. And
nice.
it's interesting to see some of that because it's like, I would rather go through some of the false positives or some of the things that they have assumed is a false positive than to have to build things from scratch and think about, what it just did. So, um, if you don't want to use an agentic agent that's going to cost you tokens, the beads thing actually doesn't cost you anything when you're using it. So, not saying you could, give it a look. It works for any system,
Yeah,
but somebody else turn one of the oh shit, DEF CON meetup is tonight, isn't it? Shit, that's fine. The last meeting that we went to, one of the guys who runs a con down in Mexico had mentioned this is what he uses for this, and ever since I've been using it. I use it at work too, which is really great. But it allows you to track your work. It will sync up with your GitHub, your GitHub action items or your PRs or whatever. It works really well. I've actually been quite, and it will work with multiple people. So if you've got multiple people working on projects, it has a Dolt back end server that you
yeah,
can actually run for that. So
yeah, yeah. This is all like real coding stuff. But like you said, as far as memory goes, that would be something kind of like in the vein of, a rag to keep track of
right, right, and
conversations I've had with
yeah.
something.
Yeah, you tell it to save state or save lessons learned, and it'll automatically build that for you. After a while, you'll be like, I need to purge some stuff because it'll be like, oh, you have 256 memories. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
purge some of the stuff I don't need anymore, or some of the, of the work that we've already completed or something like that. Or
Yeah.
I'll tell it, retroactively log, because it'll be like, oh, I fixed this issue on top of these other three things you want me to do. Okay, well, create a beads issue for that retroactive work and close it immediately. So that way you can, track your work or track, commits or whatever going forward.
Well, I
I love
know,
the skills.
my friend uses some kind of like GUI based thing where he can look at the rag and like trim it.
Oh,
That's kind of like
really?
the linking stuff. What do they call it? The graph view or whatever. Like
Okay.
once I actually
Oh,
start linking stuff
yeah.
together, I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
like, people
That's
be able
cool.
to
I
link
like that.
people to emails, but I mean,
Right.
nothing is linked right now. It
That's an
started out
OSINT
linked.
tool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
essentially, yeah. So like you would have this atlas is like dots, maps, and then you got like people,
Nice.
which I took out of there. But eventually, once I get everything running and working, I'll start kind of linking it, and you'll kind of have that same ability to come in and be like, okay, I don't want to have anything to do with this, former employer, so I'll just like delete
Right.
it. But yeah,
Do you
some way to manage all this without it going, getting
looks
like
like some
17
of
gig
the
file.
looks like some of your links are connected.
Yeah,
Do
it's all
you
like
is that
manual.
are they weighted? So like, the stronger connection, like,
Yeah, I mean that's the idea is that it's supposed to do like if I click this, will open it. This is kind of like the properties. So
uh-huh.
it's got weight in there.
Right.
But when I first started, like an email was linked to a person, and then the person you could click the person and it would show all the interactions with that person. Um,
Ah,
so like, but that the problem with that is like, it has to be smart enough to link together. If I spell your name wrong in Google Contacts, and then you send me an email, it has to know enough to like bridge those two together at some point. But
right.
I don't think it's going to be too difficult to start linking stuff together. So if I can easily search through this as context
That's cool.
to do stuff, but just forcing myself getting out of I have like everybody has like Notepad plus plus, and I have like notes in there, and then I have like markdown files everywhere, and then I have like I used to use Google Keep, and then I have stuff in Google Docs, and it's like trying to get all of that,
Google Docs,
an
yeah.
effort, get all the Google Docs text and important stuff, and pulling that out of Google Docs,
Yep.
and just kind of getting rid of Google Docs and getting rid of anything Google related except for Google
Right.
Maps is my main goal. So that I can have all my own data.
I've had Google
Not have
Docs for over a decade. I've been thinking about consolidating all that too, because I think I have two different Google Drive implementations and Google Doc implementations. So yeah, being able
Yeah, I
to,
mean, so
consolidate
much.
that would be ideal.
Yeah, like the media and stuff, I don't care if it's on Google
Right.
Drive, but like I
Right.
need to get all my data off of Google Drive and get it in something local so that I can start, getting context for it. But yeah, everybody's kind of doing the same thing, which is funny, because in like 2 years you're just gonna pay Google or Microsoft $30 a month for your AI assistant, whatever, and you're just gonna give it all your
Yeah.
data and nobody's gonna care. But
Yep.
whatever. We'll have fun till then, I guess.
Yep.
The robots take over.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty much. I have to manually start it up, and it takes a good, I don't know, like 2 or 3 minutes
Oh wow.
to go
Okay.
through. So it launches the browser, and it'll, if I've marked stuff completed, it'll move it,
Right.
and it steps through each of the, like you call calls it workers. So it's doing the Google Voice stuff now, but it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. You know what I'm waiting on is so yeah, I saw this earlier. I was like, why did you pick Python? Is it because you know Python?
No, it's just whatever the models are comfortable writing. I don't know Python. I know a little bit of like tiny bit of Python, but no, I
Right.
can't code my way out of a box.
I
do
picked
scripting,
Python.
just set curl grep, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how
I picked Python because I was like, that's what I kind of knew. But it's like, why am I, why am I coding that in Python if I'm going to, if I'm not going to be coding any of it myself and I'm just going to be directing the LLM, I should be trying to pick a programming language that it can, be more efficient in, because it's my understanding that Python maybe not as efficient a programming language as it could be. So there might be a Rust or a Z or something out there that might be a little more token friendly for that.
Yeah, I mean that's all what do you call that, refactoring. So like,
Right.
you build it in Python because it's idiot proof, and then if I want it faster, then I'll just be like, write this in Go or write it in Rust and make it like
Write it in
actually
Go.
secure.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it's just like nothing, and just trying to get the thing to chooch first.
Yeah.
And then actually do stuff. Like there's some JavaScript Node stuff in there, end up writing some Node.
That's cool.
but
Yeah,
a
one of
lot
the first things I built
power
was
stuff.
I built a Pathfinder second edition character sheet that is about 7,000 lines of style sheets, HTML and JavaScript, and it's performant as best as it can be. But yeah, there's definitely some changes. But yeah, like a 7,000 line HTML file was just kind of funny, but. It's just interesting that now that we're building all these things, and I'm building, the next big thing I'm looking at building is maybe some kind of virtual tabletop or something like that. And I'm like, why do I need to build it in Python? Couldn't I build it in WebAssembly, or could I build it in Go or something that's a little more performant?
Models, I don't think you'd have like any problem, like just coding in whatever language you want. But I know these local models are like super slimmed down to like basically they know Python and like Node and Java. That's
yeah. Man.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff is just just prompts like IEP for the compression stuff. I think there's two. These are both basically the same. But as far as compression, I try to watch this link essentially, and I'll tell the AI to actually try to find new stuff. About compression. So it does like a search through the white paper website. And if anything cool comes out, like you said, the caveman prompts or whatever, I'll look at it and be like, can I use any of that, or is it useless? But this is pretty much like the most balls compression I've been able to come up with. And like I said, I went through talking back and forth with AI in circles. There's also like I think some of the stuff that a coworker does, he uses the tune. There's like 4 or 5 different ones now. Tune over JSON. Yeah, tune over JSON. There's like 4 other ones. I mean, I could just ask.
Tune over JSON.
What other? Yeah, because JSON is so massive. Are there other
token-oriented object notation? Oh, okay.
Then tune over JSON.
Yeah, there we go.
Use charging.
That's
I have
in
to
the
tell
chat.
it to use. I have to tell it to use Kazi search because if I tell it to use the internet whenever it feels like, it will use it like way too much and eat up my context. So I tried to say, every time you see an error in your code, search online, and that was a dumpster fire because it just like every other, it would try a couple of times and it'd be like, oh, I'm not getting it. I'm going to search online, and then my context window would fill up, and then it would just throw up, and I'd come back and it'd be, just an empty prompt of nothing.
Yeah. There's been several times where I've run through my 5-hour, Claude has a 5-hour window that you can use things. So I've been telling it, I've been, like I said earlier, I plan with like the big one, like Opus, because it gives you more of it's been my experience. It's better at complete thought or completeness of vision for a plan. But then I'm trying to decide whether or not it's actually cheaper to implement that plan in Opus than it would be to tell it, okay, Opus, spend the extra credits to actually build it so it's haiku proof or sonnet proof, so that I'm using less tokens on the execution side of things or the implementation side of things. But then it's like, if I do that, then maybe I have to have Opus go back after haiku's done and verify that things have actually worked as planned. So I don't know if I'm actually gaining anything. Right? Did it go off the rails and implement it correctly, or should the user test be done that way? So. Because I'm wondering if like one Haiku token is like 10 Opus tokens. So yeah, even if I did have Haiku, build the implementation plan for Haiku and implement it, how much am I saving, or am I saving anything at all? Walt says that he would suggest using Golang. Okay, that's I think the next thing I was looking at was definitely using Golang.
Everything what now is Rust and Golang, right? Go and Rust.
Well, the idea is Rust is supposed to be memory safe, but they automatically, one of the first things I learned in Rust is, oh yeah, there's ways to actually do things out of, not memory safe. And I'm like, well, then what's the point of having, the destroy everything innator button or whatever, to go back to Phineas and Ferb. It's like, why would you have a destroy everything innator button if you are trying not to destroy everything? So yeah, it just seems stupid to have it's memory safe, but you can have areas where it's not memory safe.
But you have to know what the hell you're doing to actually do that. Do it, yeah.
Right, and the minute you start putting one in, then you've just completely lost, because now you can do everything in unmemory safe, or you adding those bits there. So.
But I think some of the stuff we use Tune to minimize the amount, because JSON is so bad. Like JSON's like double.
Right.
I think Toml's even smaller than Tune.
Okay. Zig, that's one I was thinking of. I was actually trying to learn Zig at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, your frontier models will know, they'll understand all these by now. Like especially Tune's been around forever. But it's like 30%, 60%. So like you could have like you basically use my compressed prompt and then tell it to use Tune for everything.
Right.
And you could probably save like half of your tokens or something ridiculous. Like just the amount.
Okay.
Because like I said, if you're using these platforms, like if there's a way for you to get to like the system prompt or just do whatever, like just between using like something like TOML and like a compressed system prompt, you could save so much.
Oh, okay. I was thinking TOML in terms of Rust. I thought that was like a TOML file was in Rust language or something, but this is a different TOML file.
More compression, like it's even more compressed than Tune. So you got JSON, which is a mess, and it's just way too much.
Right.
Extra characters, and then Tune is even smaller, which I played around with, but the local models don't know it enough. Maybe by now.
Okay.
Actually.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I was right. Cargo.toml is the bit for Rust, is native supporting Rust. Okay. So I thought I'd seen that before. I just thought maybe TOML was something different in Rust versus the other thing. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I've at the time I was trying to learn Rust. That was one of the aspects of it. So that's cool. Okay. Good to know.
So it predates Tune, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very cool.
So maybe I don't know which one is the new hotness, but there's always some new hotness with this. That's the hardest part of all this. Is like it's hard to just stand still and like try to finish anything because you get dragged in a different direction.
I mean, everything is moving so fast. Like I've gone and built all this stuff out with Dockling because I was using like PyMu PDF and a different OCR engine, and then it's like two more will pop up in its place 3 weeks later, and it's like, oh, maybe I need to go look at MinerU, or maybe I need to go look at other things, because they have different requirements, or they don't use PyTorch because everything fucking uses PyTorch for whatever reason, or maybe I need to use a different
NVIDIA, right? You have to say
everything's all NVIDIA based, right? Yeah, so. It's like maybe I need to use a different inference or fine-tuning language for vision language models or something using Mac, So, the next thing after this will be like, should I investigate MinerU or VLM, MLX VLM or something like that for that stuff. So I'm definitely learning a lot.
If I'm going to start eating documents, what should I be using? Like locally.
What's that?
If I'm going to start eating documents, what should I be using locally? Something like this PyMu? You said you're using
so
I know that cloud one is somewhat free, you said.
Right. Yeah. PyMu PDF is good for, and one of the other things I found out was when I was building out like version 1 and version 2, I was having like 15 different things. And it was like, oh yeah, you're going to, PyMu PDF would like, grab and, rip out, do the PDF thing, but then it would pass it along to Dockling, or I was what was it? PDF Mux, I think was the other one I was using. The problem I found out was I wasn't creating a pipeline. I was creating a bunch of independent programs that were doing things differently. And part of the orchestrator and part of the worker thing was I could take PyMu PDF and I scan the PDF initially, and I get the telemetry on that tells Dockling, oh, hey, this is the stuff that you need to look at with regards to this, or these are the things you're going to have to worry about. Or PyMu PDF was like, oh, this is a Adobe PDF created PDF, and I can grab the text layer, so I don't even need to send this to Dockling. I can just take the entire PDF text layer and just drop it into Postgres at one point. So I went from having a bunch of independent little programs that were doing its own thing to a pipeline of things where it was like telemetry was being given to Postgres, which was then being used to inform the worker on what needed to be done or configured before I started playing with the PDF there. Minor U, I think I put minor U at the bottom there as well. That's another in chat there talking about a different method by which you are transforming complex documents like PDFs and Office documents into Markdown or what have you. For some of the homebrew stuff that I use as well, I found that it was easier to print a PDF in a simplified format, which would give you white background, black text, and it would still save things like the images, which made it a lot easier to do. So what's Walt saying here? For what regular application programs, Rust can be a bit overkill if you're not already good at Rust. Golang is simpler to understand, especially if you're not an experienced dev. What are you trying to say, Walt? What are you trying to say? Experienced dev. Yeah. I'm an experienced dev. I built something. Looky,
Look, I typed commit this to GitHub.
That's right.
I still don't know. I still have issues with the whole like I had to use it more. I should be using it more to track my thoughts across GitHub.
Oh yeah.
Or Git.
Yep.
Like locally, I should be, do a whole conversation, write code, and then at the end do a Git commit and say, summarize the whatever and put it in the Git commit so I know where the hell is going on. Because right now I just have timestamps with like when it was working. I'm like, well, this is the last time it was working. I have no idea what features I've implemented or anything. But it's all about using it properly. But I just don't trust myself enough right now with it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll get there.
Yeah, I've gone through about 3 iterations of how to process a PDF properly, and I've actually started over several times in regarding the indexing and the searchable chunks because reasons. Or I'm on a Mac, which actually does restrict me from what I can and can't do, and anything that has fucking PyTorch in it because of NVIDIA or whatever. And it's like I don't want to
specifically whenever you do research, you have to specifically say, "Hey, do not use anything that utilizes NVIDIA or PyTorch or AMD." Right. AMD's chipset,
because I don't have an external GPU closure that I can hook up with a Thunderbolt 5 cable to my MacBook so that I can do that stuff.
Get my friend's thing and just aim it out, just put it on the internet. Just let them just segment it out and just put it on the internet and let people use it. Like
even a
use it.
Even a used 3060 GPU is still like $1,000 or something like that. I was like, holy shit, I was sitting on a gold mine last year. I donated my 3060 from my old streaming box to one of the local hacker spaces and stuff.
Oh no, you gave one away. Jeez.
I donated because it was like I moved to a MacBook so that I didn't sound like a jet engine in my office here. So
nice. Mine spins up, makes a bunch of ragged.
Yep. Hey, are you going to DEF CON? You going to Hacker Summer Camp at all?
I need to go to a local. I usually try to go to a local thing every year, but I don't pay attention. And that's actually one of the feature requests of my thing is to notify me when there's like song kick, which is for music. And then I know there's a couple of hacker like calendars out there that I can track. So I can just say, hey, here's my availability.
You got a local B-side somewhere, I'm sure. So
B-sides Atlanta's good. We got
Augusta's
B-sides Augusta, they're big, and Freaknik, Carolina Con, Kakalaki.
That's cool.
Con. I try to go to one of those every year, but I usually don't. It's usually every other year. But I actually do a lot more local. I do presentations and workshops as a local like charter school, which is like I call it Hogwarts for nerds.
Oh,
It's like,
nice.
you can go to school, go to high school and do like arc welding and like build robots and like, dude, if my high school was like that, I would love to have been done that. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Well,
kind of like, the where it's at now, where it's
right.
ingested a few things and like this is just noise. I know this is noise. That's like services going down, which I don't really care
Nice.
about. Um, but like, verify DNS and hosting status, like these are actually
Crap.
things that I would automate you know, if
Yeah.
I were in that space. So it's starting to feel like it might be something that I can do. But then like somebody sent me a text message was like, oh, you can come over to my house and help me, force me to clean my garage. And it was like, go to Bob's house and help him clean his garage. I was like, no, that is not what is implied there. You're
I
missing context.
I didn't get that message. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, here's your the Zoom message that I got. But
Right on.
I leave it running on a loop. And
Oh, cool. I'm definitely going to try out the Toml thing because I do want to see if that makes a difference with my Claude, 5 hour window if I'm able to do more.
yeah,
The model is a huge thing. Like if I use Opus, depending on what I'm doing with that, it will run out. But I would love to be able to figure out how to save as much as I can with regards to
yeah, if you can
those
do
things.
like if you can somehow use like this prompt in your thing, like replace. But see, the problem is they all manage the context for you. You can't like tell it, you know, you can't tell it what you want to do. You'd have to do
Right.
like a local proxy. I'm sure there's actually GitHub projects for whichever backend you use. You could
Yeah.
have a local proxy and inject and pull out whatever you want to pull out, and then basically have a. That's what I had AI doing, was making row code a reasonably sized context window agent thing, and then I realized that root code thing is not only is it old, it's made for like the big frontier models and massive context windows. I'm like, oh, no wonder
Yeah.
I'm having a problem with a local agent, because it's designed for million context windows. I'm like, okay, that's why after like 4 back and forths, it runs out of runs out of win runs out of tokens. But yeah,
Yeah.
it uses like just combining different compression techniques over time and putting them in here. Um,
That's cool.
and if you
It's
the
good
problem is
stuff.
you start compressing it too much, then the
Right.
LLM doesn't even understand what it's doing.
Yeah.
So if you start doing anything past this, it starts to like
Uh,
fall over its own feet, because it's like it's talking to itself in its compressed language and it can't understand its own compression.
right.
And even stranger, like I don't have them anymore, but I have like super compressed prompts to where like you have to uncompress them to read them because you can't even read them. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like, and I've kind of given up on that whole thing, because like it makes it annoying, and you end up using more tokens because you can't read anything because it's like
Right.
super compressed. So it's like I can't read any of this, but it's all like substitution and character substitutions and things like that.
I actually
Depending
kind of
on
like
what you're doing.
I actually kind of like sometimes when I'm reading what the model is talking to itself. It's like, oh, the user wants this thing. And it's like, I can see where
Right.
it's kind of its line of thinking is going to be going. So I can like head it
Yeah.
off at the pass by, go, oh, no, 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 add this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay,
I,
user just, updated me with this thing, and being able to kind of steer it in that direction if it's starting to talk to itself and grind like that. I find that sometimes that's kind of useful, but I can understand why you would need to maybe want to compress those things down because, time, yeah, tokens is money. Tokens is
yeah.
money. And it's tokens are just like the Chuck E. Cheese, shitty tokens that you used to get as kids.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Um,
just, the problem is there's so many resources out there for like just prompting and what do they call it, context engineering and all that.
right, right, yep,
I don't even
yep,
know where to start. I'm sure there's probably a ton of things I could be doing to help doing what I'm doing, but there's just so much data out there that I can't
yeah,
possibly follow it all. Like I wrote one that did like blade styles for Profi boards, and it's like all this like function usage, and like it's its own weird. I don't even know what it's based on. It's its own like weird language. So I spent like half a day writing like these markdown files to create an AI prompt that would give you like random blade styles and stuff.
Okay.
But like, because it's like stupid complicated,
Ah,
like overly complicated. But you can go
right.
in there and it's like, oh, make me a blade style that like turns purple and green, and when you clash it, it does this, and make it really crazy. And 1 out of 5 is actually cool. The rest of them are kind of rinse and repeat of the same thing.
Yeah.
But I can train it locally to do stuff like this. Of course, the
That would
frontier
be
models are
cool.
a lot better at like
Yeah.
making their own, like reading weird languages or weird stuff that it doesn't actually understand. Um, but I've had some limited, very limited. Like I said, 1 out of 5 is actually a valid Saber font or whatever they call them, Saber profile.
Right.
But if you feed this like the frontier models, they'll eat it all up, and do a much better job than the local stuff. So,
Huh. Okay.
um,
Wow. Well, sir, it is always a pleasure having you on. I know that you do some streaming as well. What's your Twitter, YouTube
I don't know.
site?
I don't know. Just pretty much my GitHub or just armorcourier.com is all the
Okay, so you just okay. Well, I didn't know
yeah.
if you were actually if you had streaming or you were making content. I know you
No.
said you had an OBS
Yeah,
set
I
up
do the live
yourself.
streaming every once in a while. I just get bored and
Yeah.
start
Okay.
streaming stuff. This is like
I
the
think you
prompt
should. I think
randomization if you're trying to do random. If you want the LLM to be actually random, I've
Yeah.
ran across this on the archive, that white paper site. So like if
Oh,
you ever ask LLM a joke, it'll always tell you the same joke.
right.
This helps you to, like you said, like create that creative process.
Oh yeah.
You might find something like this useful when you're trying to do, when you give it a prompt and it gives you the same exact, whatever it is you're doing, even with the
Right.
creativity, with the temperature all the way up, it's still going to do the same. If you put the temperature at 1, it's going to give you the same exact output more or less every time. But this does like, it talks to itself and does the reasoning and says, check the least likely probability. So I've had some luck with it, like generating jokes, like
That's cool.
different kinds of jokes if you want randomness, because that's the hardest part of a lot of the LLMs is the randomness,
Yeah.
getting it to do something random, especially for like conversations. But cool, man. I'll
Nice.
let you go.
Yeah, I gotta go grab. I gotta
Keep
grab
me
dinner. And
abreast
yeah.
of all your shenanigans. If you find something cool, feel free to pass it on.
I will definitely do that. Share that on the Discord or whatever. But yeah, it's great to see you. I love seeing your work. I love seeing what you're doing. Don't hesitate to share that up on the Discord because I've learned. I've got a bunch of new links today. I know that some of our watchers are got some new stuff that they can go check out too. So I put your link to your GitHub in there so people can go check out your GitHub as well. And your contact information is on there, I guess, if they wanted to, reach out to you as well. And you're on our Discord. So yeah, they can join our Discord and they can chat you up as well. So yeah. Cool. Right on.
Good
Thanks.
chat,
Thanks for spending time with me.
Anytime. Appreciate it. Keep it on. Latest.
Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to Walt for the comments and everything. And I'll try to be on again this weekend. I think I'm going to try to see if I can get Mr. Betcher and Miss Abernathy on. Amanda is now a
Nagahichi not gonna work here anymore anyway.
She got married in the 1st of June, so she's got her name changed. I actually need to go change our podcast links and stuff. So yeah, cool. So everybody take care. Take
take it easy.
Be safe. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye everybody.
Latest. Bye.
One sec.